So next up, we're starting another panel discussion, and I'm bringing up Mr. Troy Stovall-Lamel, CEO of TechCo, Maryland's economic engine for technology companies. With more than 25 years of experience in investment management, higher education, telecommunications, information and communication technology, also management consulting, Troy aims to cultivate an inclusive entrepreneurial innovation ecosystem in Maryland. Over the next hour, he will lend his expertise as he moderates the Growing Your Business with Tech panel discussion with field experts. Let's give Troy a warm welcome as he makes the stage. Y'all clap it up for Mr. Troy Stovall-Lamel, y'all.
Whoa, whoa. Oh, you could have kept that going. Yeah. Go on, DJ. Go on, DJ. Go on, DJ. Oh, yeah. Go on. CIAA, what's going on? Baltimore, what's happening? Thank you. Yes, my name, and people always mess up my name, so I'll just make, my name is Troy Lamel Stovall. It's a hyphenated name. I am so happy to be here today. Couldn't be more excited. I lead TechCo, and I got a lot of our TechCo folks. Our one TechCo team is here. If you get a chance, go check out our booth upstairs and get some great stuff. We do all the early stage technology and life sciences investments, both direct investments as well as in the ecosystem. And so we have a lot of great efforts. But today is really about helping you all understand how to grow your business with tech. And we got three just outstanding individuals that I'll be bringing to the stage here. So first, let me bring up Eric Reed from Verizon. And let me thank Verizon for sponsoring this. Come on up, Eric. Appreciate you. Just have a seat. Next, I'm going to bring up a really good friend of mine from Fulton Bank, Brett Schreiber. Sir. And finally, most of you know this company by the name of Facebook, but they now go by Meta. And so I'm bringing up Diana Ducox. So thank you all for being here. So we're going to talk about how to build your business with tech. And tech is a big word, right? There's a lot there. And I'm going to introduce them all. You're going to get to know them, but I just want to kind of have more of a casual conversation right now. I'm going to do your intros, but just real quick, I'm going to go to Diana, then Brett, then Eric. When you hear the word tech, what's the first thing that comes to mind? Diana?
I'm thinking about the future and the way that communities find each other.
Wow, I love it. That's a Facebook answer, too.
It's in me.
Brett?
Yeah, just almost the same thing. It's what's next. It's what you can't see today and what's going to be, the next cure for cancer, the next solution to something we're not thinking of. It's just, it's the future. It's what's next.
Cool. Eric?
I will say dynamic and creative and innovative.
I like that.
Future-looking. Collaborative as well.
Collaborative, I like that. Eric, let's start with you. So Eric is the Vice President for State Government Affairs for the Pennsylvania and the Delaware region, so congrats. He and his team focus on advancing state legislation, public policy, and local engagement. I can experience that. We have a lot of bills in Annapolis right now, so I'm surprised I'm here as opposed to being in Annapolis right now. One thing I want to call out about Verizon, and by the way, just Eric, is a personal point. Years ago, I used to work for McKinsey, and I was actually on the team that helped build and do the final Verizon acquisition and the naming. I will tell you stories about how we went through the whole process of deciding on the Verizon name. It was very interesting. But one of the things that Verizon has done here in the Baltimore area, they've launched the fastest mobile connection that's in 2020 that's available, and they've done that here in Baltimore, and so I know they're very proud of that. But I wanted Eric to talk a little bit about kind of the efforts that they are leading. Sorry about that, my thing just went blank on me. Whoa, that's not good. The efforts that Verizon, the tools that Verizon has, because Verizon is a huge company, obviously it's a national company, a global company. A Fortune 500 company. And so some of the tools that Verizon has to enable that tech to help these types of businesses to grow.
No, I appreciate the introduction, Troy, and thank you for helping us with the Verizon name as well back in 2020. That was the merger of Bell Atlantic and GTE, which is now Verizon. You see us around with the red check mark, and I have to acknowledge some of our colleagues that are here today to make this all happen, like Candace Austin, Paul Plymouth, Joe Askew, and I recognize them because you can't do things alone. You have to do things as a team, and that's the same for the tech space. So I'm happy to be here to talk with our other two panelists here today because Baltimore represents a real awesome opportunity to be a tech ecosystem. And what I mean by that is how do we have the people, the resources, the technology, the assets, access to capital, all those things that make a vibrant ecosystem.
Yep.
Everybody always talks about Silicon Valley, right? I spent 6 years in Silicon Valley, and I can tell you war stories about how I was the only African American in the room for major decisions. There were no females in the room, and that's disappointing. When you start talking about digital equity and inclusion, it means you've got to include all voices.
Amen.
And technology is agnostic to all that. It means that you need to bring all communities together, and that's why we launched 5G here. Baltimore was our first city where we launched 5G in the state of Maryland, and that was important because we knew with the Ravens and the way that they were doing their thing, right? With their runs through the playoffs, everything that's happening at CFG Arena with the basketball games tonight, people want to share those moments. And so if you have good connectivity, you have a good experience. If you have bad connectivity, it's a lost opportunity. So that's why we invest so much in our local communities to make sure that 5G is readily available. We have 5G Home for all you small business owners that I think it costs about $40 or $50 a month. So we try to make it affordable because as we well know, cash flow, access to capital, and just being able to access credit lines is extremely important to a small business. So we try to make it easy by having affordable options available for broadband connectivity in the home and on the go.
Well, I'm one of those customers. We have Fios in our home, and so we love Fios, so I appreciate that. If you could, Eric, talk just a little bit more about if there's like one or two specific programs or efforts that Verizon has, here in the Maryland or Baltimore region that you want folks to know about, again, how to access some of those tools.
Sure. So a couple things. We have 10 Verizon Innovative Learning Schools throughout the state of Maryland. 5 of them are in PG County and Montgomery County, but the majority of them are right here in Baltimore City, 5 of them. 4 of them are equipped with what we call 5G Labs, which is basically our opportunity to incubate and to have tablets, to have programming, to have technology coaches in the classroom to engage these kids, to make sure that they understand that, at least from my perspective, that PlayStation 5 that they're playing, it's not just a game. There's something, and there's code, and there's AI, and there's virtual reality behind it, like the gamers that are over there.
You got some gamers right over here, exactly.
So you have to make sure that if you have the proper curriculum, and we know that this is a digitized economy, you got to make sure that those connections are made. And for our young kids, I see the 3 right there in front, we want them to be our future technologists and scientists and innovators of tomorrow. And if you don't put the right tools in their hands, you can forget about it. So just let me give you a little bit more insights in terms of the Verizon Innovative Learning Program itself. This program provides tablets for 4 years for middle school students. So parents don't have to go buy them for their kids. We know that that has been a challenge for some families that are just trying to pay rent and put food on the table. So that's off the table now in terms of the tablets. We will also provide data connectivity for that child as well. And the best part is they get to take their tablets home with them. So a lot of times they'll hear about, yeah, I went to the science lab today and they were able to play around with the tablets for an hour. But guess what? That learning does not continue because the tablet is still in the lab. Now they get to have that immersive, engaging, and interactive connectivity with their colleagues, with their teachers, and they can do more interactive learning that way.
I love it. That's great stuff. That's great stuff. So before I go to Brett and introduce Brett, I'm gonna take a minute because I got the mic and introduce TEDCO because that'll lead to my introduction of Brett. And so, for those that may not know, we are the state. We're a semi-state into a quasi-government agency. We've been around for 25 years, and we have basically two pieces to our business. We do direct investments in companies, everywhere from literally a napkin idea. If you got a napkin idea, we will take you as you are and invest in you and take you from a $50,000 to $100,000 investment, take you to a seed stage, which means you got a prototype, you got maybe some early customers, all the way through a Series A, B fund. And the type of money we're talking about can go from $50,000 to $100,000 up to $2.5 to $3 million that we do in that early stage and partnering with a number of players in the ecosystem. The other thing that we do is we invest in the ecosystem. It does us no good to invest directly in entrepreneurs if they don't have access to talent, if they don't have access to an incubator, if they don't have access to an accelerator or a wet lab or lawyers or whatever else they may need for their success. We at TEDCO do that through the team that we have, and many of them are here today. And so I wanted to do that intro because part of what we do is bring that ecosystem together. And some of those folks you see here, and particularly Brett Schreiber. Brett is a Vice President of Life Sciences and Technology at Fulton Bank, which is a $22 billion financial institution. Brett currently oversees a new division, which we're going to talk about, which I'm very excited about, that creates disruptive, innovative initiatives to support and grow the life science and tech industries in Fulton's 5-state footprint, right, which includes right here in Baltimore City. He previously was with the state in the Department of Commerce. And so I don't want to steal his thunder, but Brett and I have some great partnerships that we're doing with Fulton. And people may not think of the word innovation when they talk about banks and things, but I think what you're about to hear from Brett and what they're doing in Fulton will surprise you. So with that, my friend Brett.
Yeah, Brett, thank you very much, and it's great to be here today. This is our second year being here, and I just wanted to thank everyone for the opportunity and for working to make this. This is such a feel-good event. I mean, sports is a great opportunity to bring people together, and it's a momentum creator. I mean, last night we were driving around the streets. You see the hotels are full, people are on the streets, banners are sitting in front of the hotels where all the teams are located, and then to have the Tech Summit here today to just add momentum to what's happening in Baltimore and the CIAA tournament is just an honor to be here. But again, name is Brett Schreiber with Fulton Bank, and just real short, what we're trying to do is to create innovative ways to get capital to early stage companies. In Baltimore specifically, we have a very strong focus, and I hope it happens, but we're not guaranteed to happen. You know, a Fortune 100 company coming in, providing 1,000, 2,000 jobs, it would be great. But one of the things that Baltimore needs is, as we're continuing to work on public safety, continuing to work on other issues, is a continued growth in the economic growth and vitality of the state. That means job growth and businesses growing here. And so one of the things that we're trying to do is, until that Fortune 100 company comes in here, we think that the future of Baltimore is a lot of the companies, all of you in this space right here, it's going to happen organically from the ground up. It's our innovators, our entrepreneurs, our startups are going to be the next T. Rose, the next former Legg Masons. I mean, they're the next Titans. I mean, you see it right now with Fearless. I mean, when I was with the Department of Commerce, I knew Delali and his team when he had 7 employees. And look at him now. They got close to 300 employees, and if you go over their space across the street there, I mean, it's just unbelievable, and they are innovating and helping government work again through a lot of the work that they're doing. And so we realize that one of the ways that we can contribute to the economic growth and vitality of the city is to be the fuel for the early stage companies here in this region. And so that's what we're doing. We're in our 4th year. We've got 150 companies. Many of them are in the room here today. And it's just invigorating and exciting, and we look forward to continuing the partnerships with yourself and others to try to make that happen here in the city and the state.
So the previous panel, led by my good friend over here, Ellington West, had another good friend, Arian Long, with family. She called out Fulton, because I think the point, and I want you to double down on this, is you, through your leadership and Fulton, look at, I think the word she uses, you see entrepreneurs as they are.
Right.
And you're rethinking the traditional kind of profiling and the financial assessment of their risk and your ability to invest in them. So tell folks, again, some of these products and tools and how you're doing things just a little differently than some other banks are doing.
Yeah, I was brought in, it's a true story. Before I started, there was a spin-out life science company out of Johns Hopkins. And Fulton was just new in the city at the time. They're looking at the company and they said, it had some TEDCO funding. It had a $2 million Small Business Innovation Research grant from the National Cancer Institute. Had 6 patents associated with it. had a lot of investments, but they didn't have a product yet. They needed FDA approval. It was many years down the road. And the bank looked at it and said, well, listen, it all sounds great, but it could take you 5-6 years to get FDA approval. Technically, you don't have a product. You don't have a product. You technically don't have revenue. So why don't you come talk to us in 5 or 6 years? So they came to us at the Department of Commerce at the time and said, hey, we just talked to this company from Hopkins, and they were talking. And I was like, wait, hold up. This is one of our stars. I mean, they got a Small Business Innovation Research grant. They've got TEDCO investment through the MII initiative. They've got additional investments. They got 6 patents, and the bank was like, wait, what's a TEDCO? What's a Small Business Innovation Research grant? I was like, well, hold up. And so basically, long story short, we started this division, but what we do is we're a bank. We have to look at the financials of a company, but what we do is we break down the company and understand what the there is in the company. I mean, you just can't go to TEDCO and say, hey, give me a $1 million MII grant. I mean, you have to have something behind it. You can't go to the National Cancer Institute, get $2 million from the NCI for a Small Business Innovation Research grant. So what we look at that is we say, listen, there's a there if you can get an SBIR. There's a there if you can get to TEDCO. We look at the management team saying, listen, this guy's got out of the Johns Hopkins School of Medicine, one of the top ranked school of medicine. They're working in cancer. They've got 6 patents. I was like, you might be negative 500,000 net income, but last year you're negative 750,000. You're not revenue positive, but you got a path to profitability. So check TEDCO, check SBIR, check management team, check path to profitability, and then we'll make lending decisions off of that as opposed to the balance sheet. We'll look at it, but that's not the end determinant, because we realize that for a lot of these companies, the there doesn't necessarily translate to the balance sheet quite yet. It will, but not quite yet. And so we're lending off of what makes these companies special and unique, and we've got the skills and talent to be able to break down the companies to understand what their true value proposition is.
That's outstanding. As you were talking, one of the things I'm always, and I say a lot, is that when I started doing this venture business eons ago, I got a chance to be with the folks in Silicon Valley, and they told me 2 things. They said, one, we've lost more than we won, but our wins got more money than our losses.
Right.
But the other thing they said, to the point you're making, Brett, is we only invest in A quality people that have a B quality plan, and never the reverse. Never B quality people, because in the day, I'm not, particularly at the early stage, I'm betting on you. Not necessarily your idea, but on you, and together we can make it a great idea. And so that's a lot of what you're saying. You're looking at those characteristics that you can't necessarily see on a balance sheet.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, we have a company now, working with them now, that's a top neurosurgeon out of Johns Hopkins. And we're looking at, like, top neurosurgeon at Johns Hopkins, top neurosurgical department in the country. The strength of his idea is in himself. So we're basically going off of his personal strength right there. And so, yeah, we'll look at the owners. We'll look at the business, and we'll look at the idea, and then we're really trying to infuse that capital to get them to the next step.
More to talk on that, but yeah. Diana, you good? I just want to make sure, I want to give you a chance to catch your breath.
Oh, I'm inspired, so I'm good. I am here. That was amazing from both of you, so I'm just excited to be here.
So Diana Dukas, she is with, again, Meta, formerly Facebook. She leads the economic opportunity and advocacy, and in that, she's at the intersection of policy priorities and how Meta and its family of apps can empower small business to create, build, and grow their business. And she also used to serve in the Obama White House as well. And so I actually want to call out Meta. We had an event back in September, one of our first tech fair. And Meta was one of our key folks. They came and talked to a ton of folks, stayed there the whole day. You were a great partner there. You showed us a lot of what I'm sure you're going to talk about. So want to ask you kind of that intersection, back to your intersection, right, is how do you think about the tools? Because Meta has a ton of tools. That's why you have the Meta over versus just Facebook. A lot of tools, and how you are trying to bring those into what I would call underinvested communities, underinvested entrepreneurs, underinvested markets.
Thank you so much for that question. So, as mentioned, the artist formerly known as Facebook. We are now Meta. But under that brand and the idea behind changing the name to Meta, which in Greek, which I am, so my parents had to correct me on the pronunciation. But Meta means beyond. And the entire point about moving the Facebook Inc. and the apps underneath it to this brand of Meta is really to incorporate and encompass all of the future technologies, all of the brands that we have now, and how are we moving that forward to egalitize and give people opportunities, especially around economic growth. So under the Meta brand, you have Facebook, you have Instagram, you have WhatsApp, you have Messenger, you have Quest, which we can talk about the metaverse at any point. But what's really exciting about those different brands and the sub-opportunities within them is that they're all designed for entrepreneurs to take what we have at no cost or at very little cost. And so the opportunity is for you to establish an online presence to really bring your brand, your personality, your company, your idea to an audience who may not even know you exist, but you're ready to knock on their door and say, hi, here I am, I've got this great product, I've got this great idea. Using Meta platforms and opportunities like that allow you to do that at a no cost to establish your brand. And then we have tools like personalized advertising that at a very low cost, you can actually expand and reach a different audience in the most economically and efficient way for businesses who don't have large marketing dollars, who don't know how else to expand their reach and to find new customers. But again, we want to make these opportunities and your ability to establish a robust online presence free. And so we also provide lots of educational trainings that you can do online at your own schedule. Again, they are free and they're really tailored to different industries and different audiences. So whether you're in the service industry or food or wellness, health and wellness, sports, there are opportunities to really have a tailored curriculum and tailored resources to get your business online so that you can start building awareness and selling your brand.
So I'm asking this, but I'm going to ask also Eric and Brett to comment on this too. So all three of you are at massive organizations, huge organizations. You know, you're the smallest one here and it's still a pretty big organization. And I'm sure folks out here in the audience feel like, how do I get into, and one of the cool things about the tech fair that we did is that, you know, we set it up so that people could see you as a person, could see your team. So I guess I'd like you to start, Diane and Brett and Eric, to comment about how does that startup business that's, you know, just trying to get started, how do they approach Meta and come to Meta and get access to Meta and Fulton and to Verizon?
I would say start with a Facebook account, start with an Instagram account. Really, you can sign, hopefully many of you are familiar with the products, but you can sign up for free online, right, and establish your personality, your authenticity, your ingenuity. I loved what you were saying about, you know, you hope that a Fortune 100 would come into Baltimore and help create jobs, et cetera. But we take the same approach that economic growth and opportunity really comes at the small business startup level. And so how are we going to make that as easy as possible for people to do? Which is, again, go to facebook.com, sign up for an Instagram account, and in those you will find your how-to guides on how to best maximize your presence. And what we can do here also is that we have a small business resource guide that really will take you step by step. Absolutely, we'll make sure, and that we'll send it out so that you can send it out to anybody who's attending, but it's an interactive PDF, because I'm that tech talented, but it will allow you to really, how do you set up a Facebook page? How do you set up an Instagram page? How do I start selling on Facebook, whether it's Marketplace or through the app? And so we can take you all the way through those steps. And that's just skimming the surface of the resources.
I guess that's question. Do people realize you can sell on Facebook? That Facebook is actually a marketplace? Do people recognize that? Mm-hmm. It's not just a social media, hey, I got to post my friends and you know what I went out and did last night.
No, and absolutely. And one of the things that we've seen, and really, you know, the pandemic kind of exacerbated this and really accelerated this transition from offline to online. And so how are people who maybe had a traditional brick and mortar but didn't have an online presence, all of a sudden needed to figure out how they were going to stay in touch with their community so that their community could not only know, like, okay, can I go get this sandwich or not, but it was also, how can I support my local business because I care about this local business, I care about my community. So it allowed the business itself to communicate with its community so the community could show up for them. And we saw countless examples of that over every day of communities showing up to support their small business community, and it was using our platforms that helped do that.
Cool. Brett?
So just, I mean, getting connected with us personally, it's just a matter of LinkedIn, but also there's a tremendous amount of resources throughout the state to help early stage companies. Obviously TEDCO, Maryland Technology Council, Maryland Business Innovation Association, Johns Hopkins, BW Tech at UMBC, I-270 Labs out in Gaithersburg, FITCI, Frederick Innovation Technology Center out at Frederick, University of Maryland College Park, and Fulton has a presence at all of those various entities. So if you are already connected or trying to connect to a local innovation resource to help you get to that next stage, we've got connections to all those entities. So through those natural connections, you can connect to us. But again, me personally, it's just a matter of Brett Schreiber on LinkedIn or Fulton Bank and finding our name to get connected. But the important thing is that we realize that we are partners in this innovation ecosystem. So we are working with all of those organizations to help companies get to the next phase. We were talking earlier at College Park, for example, we're going to start a effort for undergraduate, graduate students that just have an idea, but they don't know what to do. You can apply to a new Fulton Innovation Fund just to get $1,000 to get legal advice for something. And so those are the types of things that we're trying to do to reach out to non-traditional resources to get to be a matchstick to light some of the innovation needs that are out there, trying to be a catalyst. We think that it's important that entities like Verizon and Meta and Fulton are the tip of the spear when it comes to innovation and economic development. And TEDCO. I mean, our government partners are essential. We have to work with them, but a lot of the top regions around, it's the private sector that is the tip of the spear when it comes to economic growth and vitality. So I think these three companies and others are trying to be that tip of the spear when it comes to helping all the companies here in this room get the resources and get the information to get started. So those are just some of the ways in which you can connect with us and continue to learn and move forward.
So most people see Verizon as either I get my phone or my internet connection, I get a bill from you. But tell people how they can approach you as a partner to get some of the tools that can help them.
Troy, I really appreciate you saying that because, can I get the hookup on the phone, right?
Exactly.
And, we're more than just connectivity and phones, right? We have a lot of expertise with our engineers, with our state government affairs folks that can provide insights in real time for small businesses to navigate this very competitive small business landscape. And so I'll just give two quick examples. When you start talking about the Affordable Connectivity Plan, right? So on one end of the spectrum, you have a lot of people that were affected and impacted by the pandemic that said, I'm leaving the workplace, I'm going to start my own business, I'm going to follow my dreams, right? A lot of people don't know that there's an option available out there to you for free broadband if you qualify for it. So through the Affordable Connectivity Program, you can get a reduced or free broadband service, either through Fios Home, 5G Home, or 4G LTE Home, which is part of our Verizon Forward program. And you could go look at this information and see if you qualify at Verizon.com and look at our digital inclusion page. So if you're a small business that's just getting launched, that's one of the resources that you can kind of take a look at to make sure that as you're bootstrapped, you're trying to find every dollar you can, that there's options that are available to get good broadband access 24/7 without breaking the bank. On the other side of the spectrum, for all you experienced entrepreneurs that know how to run out and talk to private investors, that have access to venture capital firms, a lot of people don't know that we have a venture capital arm too, and it's called Verizon Ventures. So I would like for all of you, if you're interested, to take a look at the Verizon website, go to verizonventures.com. That is our place where we talk about, from soup to nuts, all the great resources that are there in terms of engaging with our finance teams, our marketing teams, our sponsorship teams. They're all right there and available to you. And if you need to find a way to figure out how to pitch and what's the right audience, or if there's other venture capital firms that are out there that we're partnering with, we can provide access there. I would be remiss to also say that those relationships are so important. So when you think about the work that Fearless is doing and Techstars, and I saw Corey earlier from Upsurge, These are connectors, folks. These are people that know where the money is. So you need to go find them, seek them out, ask all the smart questions, because what you don't know puts you at a huge disadvantage. So those are just some of the ways that I wanted to at least provide folks, whether you're a startup or if you're an experienced tech company, go to Verizon.com or go to VerizonVentures.com.
One of the themes I'm hearing from all three, well, a couple of themes I'm hearing from all three of you, is this notion of relationships and we use the word, I do it too, we all use the word ecosystem, but I don't think we really define what ecosystem really is. And I'll give you mine and let you all react to that. There is, I think of it in some ways, because I'm an engineer by training, and there's this organic thing that's about, if you really think about the origins of the word, it's about how organisms in their own have their own abilities to thrive and be, and I see my scientists over here, how they thrive and come together. And so a lot of what we're talking about is how we as individuals and communities can come together and thrive and depend upon the dependency of one another through technologies in order to do that. So I'll let you guys comment on it, because we all keep using the word ecosystem, but I want people to understand that it is about seeking out, in some ways you've got to go do some stuff. Stuff isn't going to just show up to you. You got to do some stuff too for your own ecosystem, because ecosystems are part of your ecosystem is a part of the bigger ecosystem. Dan, you want to take that?
Yeah, I think I definitely agree. I think there's also the piece of that, if you're thinking about it in that science or organic way, all organisms have to interact with something, whether it's their environment or peer organisms, and I'm not a scientist, but right there, it's all about interaction, making what you are and what you can out of your environment. And your environment is those relationships that you're building. It's the industry that you decide to be a part of. It's the community that you decide to be a part of. And so really kind of maximizing and amplifying the relationships that you're talking about is about building your ecosystem. And to me, I kind of see it as, just a nucleus, and then the outer ring and the outer ring and the outer ring. And don't forget about the people in that outermost ring. If you're looking to make connections and you're looking to network and you're looking to, bring new people into your immediate business sphere, don't be afraid to go back out to those people who are on your most outermost ring, because you have no idea that what a different perspective could bring or what different ideas could pop up from doing that. Don't be scared to do that.
I love it. Brett,
Yeah,
I love that.
I think along that nucleus thing, it's these random collisions. I'll give two quick stories that kind of highlight that. The first was a few years ago, I was with the Dean of the School of Engineering at Johns Hopkins University and the President of the Maryland Institute College of Art. And the President of the Maryland Institute College of Art said to the Dean of School of Engineering at Johns Hopkins, listen, we need to figure out ways to work together. And the Dean at first is like, well, what is it that we need to do with an art school? We're a school of engineering. And so he pulls out his iPhone and he's like, you see the iPhone here? Is like, if you pull it apart, you engineers make it work. But if you look at it, us artists make it look good, right? And so that conversation led to some random collisions between the Maryland Institute College of Art and Johns Hopkins, and they're offering programs, co-branded programs today between MICA and Johns Hopkins because of those random collisions. The other thing was we were at an event not too long ago, a couple years ago now, with some representatives from the Naval Research Lab and Stanley Black & Decker. And you think, Naval Research Lab, Stanley Black & Decker, and the gentleman from Naval Research Lab is talking about this new glass that they've invented that doesn't break, but they can't find a commercial use. And the gentleman from Stanley Black & Decker overheard it and said, wait, we're trying to create a new shield for one of our tools that we're trying, and the problem is the shield keeps breaking. Well, one thing led to another. The folks from the Naval Research Lab talked to Stanley Black & Decker, and now they're using that technology in some of their shield and glass things for Stanley Black & Decker tools. So, but those two events, you didn't know was going to happen unless you're out at events like this, out at events that TEDCO had not too long ago, Maryland Tech Council. These events are occurring, so I encourage you all to go there, because these random collisions, you don't know who you're going to meet that's going to lead to you might have there's one of our crowd members, Josh Barnes with Harbor Designs and Manufacturing. They're in the crowd today. If you're strong, have a great idea on how to build something, great idea, but you don't know how to build it, like Josh and his team will build it for you. But if you're not at events like this, you might not run into a Josh, and you might not find a solution for building the next idea that you don't know how to build yourself, but you know how it's going to work in your mind. So again, these random collisions, events like this, participate, show up, get out there, because you never know if your solution is sitting there in that room.
I love it. Before Eric answers, you're making me, reminding me of, I grew up wanting to be an astronaut. I actually worked at the Johnson Space Center. I grew up in Houston, Texas, and I worked at the Johnson. I'm gonna age myself. I don't know why I'm doing this publicly, but wrote a little bit of code when they were dropping the space shuttle off the top of 747s. I wrote some code for that. But to your point, I believe ecosystems are, we all of these orbits, right? And the whole point of it is, back to being an astronomer, is what we're really trying to make happen is having these celestial bodies collide. Celestial bodies collide. And when celestial bodies collide, you get a new gravitational constant. And that new gravitational constant attracts other celestial, and a new celestial body gets formed. And that's what we're trying to get done here today at this tech fair. So Eric, I'll let you close that out.
Yeah, Troy, I would just add, and I'll take a different tact here. Verizon's investments have to stay in front of demand, meaning we can't just wait to put billions of dollars into the network until the demand is there. We have to be out ahead of it. And so I think about the Baltimore brand. I'm tired of people talking about the negative aspects, right?
Talk, yeah.
Of people
Come on,
talking
Baltimore.
about-
Let's hear in the house from Baltimore.
Of the news talking about how people are leaving the city, how infrastructure is crumbling. Well, the last time I looked, if you've gone over to M&T Bank Stadium, you looked at Ravens Walk, and you see the investments that are being made over by the Horseshoe as well.
Yep.
Coming over into the convention center as well. Got to have visitors to come to the city to enjoy the Old Bay and crab cakes, right? But look at Harbor Place. Harbor Place. That's the crown jewel. And the investments are going there. We already got the 5G nodes there, so the technology's connected. Now we just got to pull together and make sure that we're connecting all these assets. You connect all those assets, guess what?
I love it.
You have a better pipeline and access to tech talent. You get more people moving to the city. You get more money coming into the community. So I just wanted to say, hey, look, it takes all of us, right? We all got to be in this game to say, Baltimore is bad, it's back, and it's doing better.
Love it, love it. All right, Baltimore. So look, all right, I got a mic here. So you got Meta / Facebook, you got a bank, and you got Verizon. Y'all got some questions. Let's go, let's have them. Who's got the questions? All right, come on, don't be shy. I see my hand up in the back, my brother in the back. Over there at the brown scarf. Come on, she's gonna get you a mic.
So, Venero July, I'm an attorney here in Baltimore. This question is directed to Brett. You mentioned earlier that when you're looking at companies, you're not just looking at their balance sheet, and you're looking at their potential earnings. How are you guys kind of thinking through that, and how are you like underwriting? Because particularly in the venture space, everybody tells you how much millions of dollars they're going to be able to make. How are you determining, how are you looking at that and determining what your loans are going to look like for those kinds of companies?
If I could hear you correctly, you were saying how are we underwriting some of these early stage ventures? How are we looking at them? So a lot of it is the bank has decided that we're going to take a bit of a risk in terms of lending to and we do some equity opportunities as well to companies that don't have a strong balance sheet, and so we're really digging. That's why we're bringing folks like myself that are non-traditional bankers. I don't come from banking. In fact, when I started working at Fulton Bank, that was day one for me. So I worked in the innovation space. I worked with a lot of these companies. Worked in the life science space. So first of all, we're bringing in teams that can really dig into the technology and the value proposition of a company to figure out what the there is, and then we're basically underwriting based off of that. We're looking at the management team. We're seeing if the management team is designed and put in place to know what they're doing. We're looking at the market. Can you substantiate kind of your future projections in the market that you're in? We're looking at technologies. We're looking at patents. We're looking at prior investors and previous investors, and we're piggyback. piggybacking off of the prior investments. We know that in our portfolio, we're going to have some companies that won't make it. That's just a statistical evidence, but we also believe that a lot of companies in the space are going to have the hockey stick growth type of trajectory. And if we get 2, 3, 4, 5, or 6 companies that are successful, they're going to pay for the rest of the portfolio of those that don't make it and some that won't. So it's a different approach, but it's been working. Actually, surprisingly, coming out of the pandemic, when I first started this division, the bank is really keeping a close finger on the pulse of where we're going. But our companies actually perform better than the rest of the portfolio, the traditional portfolio at the bank. We have 150 companies in right now. We've only had 1 company in 4 years that's had any problems, and we think that will, more companies, it's just statistical, will go bad. But right now, we're getting able to look at the companies, validate them, and get a proof of concept, and it's been working out so far.
Cool. Any other questions? I see one over here, right over here, the young lady. In the pinkish, bright pinkish.
Hello, how you doing?
Outstanding. How are you?
I'm an entrepreneur, mom, homeschooler, so I have my homeschooling class today. But I did want to ask, I just recently hooked up with the Third down in Columbia, and they focus on women of color building economic stability and all of that great stuff. So with what you were saying, Brett, about the underwriting, now there were a discussion about the SB, Small Business Administration, backing these loans. How, as a woman entrepreneur, should I partner with people to apply to these, not grants, but loans or whatever? Or is it best to get the backing by going solo, being a woman of color and using all those great terms?
Well, every company is different, and so it's tough to say. Obviously, if you have additional partners, that's going to make whatever we can do for you stronger. The more entities that are coming to the table, probably the better. But again, it really depends on your strengths. I mean, it doesn't necessarily. I mean, Fulton Bank, we have a whole SBA division within our bank already. So we have the SBA office is literally right next to mine, and so we'll partner. But you can come to us because what we do is we look for other partners. I've gone to the state of Maryland. I've gone to the Able Foundation, which is a great foundation here in Baltimore. I was just talking to the head of finance at Baltimore County. He said, listen, if you've got some strong projects, the county wants to partner with you. So we can help you find those partners. Obviously, again, the more entities that are involved, the stronger. But again, one of the things that we do is that, one of the things that we do is we help find you those partners. So come to us. That's what we do. Even if it doesn't make us any money, we want to find those connections that are going to make you stronger. So we'll help you find those partners as well. But there's non-traditional partners to think about, and we can help you get there.
So, and 2 things from a TEDCO perspective. One is, actually, we were at the Third several months ago announcing our Black women effort Black Women Entrepreneur effort. We have an institute, Open Institute for Black Women Entrepreneurs, that we have partnered with Morgan and Bowie and Coppin and UMES to launch the effort, and we actually have done a pilot there in Howard County. And so we're about to launch a larger effort for the state, so that's coming out. The other thing I consider an announcement, I'm probably putting my team a little bit on the spot, but that's okay. They love me anyway. We recognize that part of the funding spectrum is that very, very, very early stage where you need $25,000, $30,000, $40,000, $50,000 to turn your idea into a prototype or a proof of concept. And so we're going to be launching, hopefully by the summer, what we're calling right now a concept fund that allows us to invest in those things that you need to move that napkin idea into that, and where you can be ready to go talk to whether it's us or other funding partners. So to Brett's point, there are these tools that we've got to do a better job of presenting to the community to let you know that these tools are available.
And just interject real quick, there's a lot of resources here. Your local government has some resources, the Office of Economic Development, and they know about the great things that TEDCO is doing to help minority women and Black and brown businesses. And so it's just reaching out, understanding where to go. You can call us. We've got those connections. We've got those contacts. So just start with your idea. and then we'll help create that network that's going to let
Eric,
you
you
get
wanna
to where
jump
you
in?
need to go.
Yeah, I was just going to say, besides your local chamber, talk to companies like ours. We have a complete team that is dedicated to supplier diversity. There's always going to be opportunities out there, but if you don't know about them, you can't pursue them. So come talk to us.
I'm glad you said that between Meta and Verizon, you guys are a huge company, but teach you have supplier diversity. And I think that was my earlier question about how do they actually approach you and come to you? You guys gave us some good thoughts on that. But I know we got to get one or two more questions in. Any more? Right here in the very bright green.
Hi, everyone. My name is Joanna Port, and thank you so much for being here and sharing all this information. I want to push the conversation a little bit further. What's the intersection for nonprofits in this particular conversation? I mean, much of it is what I'm hearing is for profits. I mean, it's about making the money, right? Let's make the pesa in Swahili. So how are you all doing this kind of engagement, and what are the tools that you're offering that nonprofits can get into?
Yeah, for us, it's STEM education, period. So we work with organizations like Coded by Kids. Obviously, we have our Verizon Innovative Learning Schools, 5 of them right here in the city. And look, we're always looking for opportunities to engage nonprofits because a lot of times they're the ones that are closest to the community, right? And so, as I've talked about with STEM and education, that's the pipeline of talent for us. We're competing with Meta. We're competing with Fold and Bank because they're looking for data analysts as well. But the sooner that we can provide that engagement and that programming and that access, the better the opportunity it's going to be that we'll be able to retain them. So that's why, we leverage those resources through our school programs, starting with elementary and middle school kids so that we can get their minds right. We can get them ready for when they go to college. Hey, I want to be a data analyst. I heard earlier today the DJ say something about the NBA is hiring data analytics folks. I think about all the student athletes that are playing right now and playing at 6 p.m. during their semifinal games, and this could be their final game. But my hope is off the court, if they had a good enough engagement around STEM technology and STEM education and programming, they'll be able to take that to the next level and be able to go to the NFL or the NBA and work for the league offices or one of the teams and still be able to have an impact of what's happening on the field or on the court. So STEM and education is important for us. Like I said, you can go to Verizon/digital inclusion and you'll find a lot more information there, and I'm happy to talk to you after this panel as well.
Diane, I know you want to try to jump in, Dane.
Oh, I was going to say, certainly Meta is trying to show up in communities in the best way we can, and we certainly support nonprofits in education and diversity and everything we can. But I also want to think about how nonprofits are actually using our tools to help build their customer base, their awareness for their issue, bring people into their community so they get more members and they can spread awareness of whatever the issue may be. So again, by using the platform, again, it's free, but a lot of nonprofits kind of use it like a business. They target an audience. They know, they show their personality. They bring in the authenticity and whatever their message is to build a bigger base on the platform and a social media platform to use that larger ecosystem and connect and build that ecosystem so that they can advance their issues and however it is and get more noticed, et cetera. So both on the financial and support resources, we certainly do that, but also encouraging you to look at the social media platforms as another opportunity in spreading the goodness of the nonprofit.
Yeah, and I'll just say, first of all, from the commercial side, we're profit agnostic, so we support profit, nonprofit. But I want to give a shout out to Smokey Glover, who's over there with our team, who heads up Fulton Forward. All right, and that's our foundation that is working in the communities, working in East Baltimore, working in West Baltimore, support financial literacy, other types of community development initiatives, nonprofit organizations, to really help stand them up, because we certainly understand and recognize that the critical catalyst that nonprofits can be in our community. So we're helping them both from the commercial side. We'll fund them from what we do from the bank, but we're also helping them from our foundation side, because that's a critical mission of ours. We realize that success begets success, and if the nonprofits in the major cities like Baltimore aren't successful, the for-profit entities that are sitting right here aren't going to be successful. So we need to invest in you to be able to help us to continue to invest in companies around us.
So I think we have time for one more question, but right here, so as she goes over, as you get the mic, real quick, you already gave us kind of a cool website for people to go to. You got a quick website for people to go to at Meta while we get ready for the next question?
Sure, it would be meta.com and then / business resource hub.
Business resource. Fulton?
Yeah, just fultonbank.com, and you can just type in life sciences there, and it'll connect you to us. Life sciences and tech.
And I want to make sure people understand it's not just life sciences that you guys are looking at. I think it's important to let people.
It is technology. Basically, anything that uses innovation to scale, right? You've got the better mousetrap, we can figure out a way to do it.
There you go. And Eric, any other website you want people to know about?
I've given about 4 already, so I'm going to stop.
I'm trying to help you out, bro.
Verizon.com, Verizon /digitalinclusion.com, VerizonVentures.com.
All right. Our last question from the audience. Thank you.
Hi. I'm blessed to be here. My name is Zuri Chavers. My goal is to start an emerging tech lab. It's called All True Vision Studios. Now, I'm a single founder, right? And I started this business during the pandemic. I've done a lot of research on it. I know exactly what we need to do. Hopefully, we aim to affect middle schoolers, high schoolers, as well as adults, and end with giving them a degree. Now, again, I'm an emerging tech founder, right? I'm brand new. I'm a solo founder. But I need funding. I need capital. So what would be the best step if I don't necessarily have a team, but I know exactly how I want to impact people? I have my business plan. Like, I've been studying in this space for a long time. I know exactly what I want. So, like, how can, I guess my question is, like, what's the best way to form a question to you? Like, how do I propose to you?
Yeah. So for me, TechCo, I just saw Jack. What did Jack run off to? Where's Jack Miner, my chief investment officer? If he's not around, that young lady right there in that kind of old yellow black thing, she's our marketing communications. She'll tell you where to go at TechCo.
I mean, with us, it's just find me on LinkedIn or something like that, Brett Schreiber. I mean, it just starts with a conversation, right? We're going to learn about you, and you're going to learn about your idea, and then from there, it's where do we take it? We want to be the default bank for startups, and if that's connecting to resources on our network, or connecting to us, or helping us, but it just starts with a conversation.
I'll be quick. Verizon Ventures, you heard that. But talk to Corey back there. You're going to hear from him later. Upsurge, right? Techstars as well. I saw Techstars around here somewhere as well. They're another partner of ours. So talk to both of those organizations. And Fearless, too.
And as we close, this is a little bit of a tech code, but I want to make the point I probably should have made at the beginning. Look, because I started this to talk about what is tech, right? And I tell this bad example to make my point. And for some of you that aren't of age, you will have to go to YouTube to figure out what I'm talking about. So if George Jefferson comes back and starts a cleaning business, and George is using technology to clean clothes better, faster, cheaper, or deliver them in some Uber-like fashion, I want to ask myself, is George a tech entrepreneur who's trying to fundamentally change the dry cleaning business? Or is he a dry clean entrepreneur who's using technology to change the experience in the dry cleaning business? And that's what I will challenge all of you. Technology isn't always that IP thing that's the software. It's something that fundamentally can change, whether it's the nonprofit or the for-profit space. It's something that can shift the paradigm and the experience in an industry. That's what that's about.
Troy, so if George, in your example, is George Jefferson using 5G?
Hell, George using 7G. George already 7G. Diana, Brett, Eric, thank you.
Thank you.
And mostly Verizon, thank you for sponsoring the tax fair here today. Everybody enjoy the rest of the day. Thank you all. Appreciate you. My name is Troy Lamel Stovall. Check out TechCo upstairs. Thank you all. Have a great, great rest of your day. Thank you all.
Are y'all having a great time? Hold up, I'm talking to way more than 5 people. We got DJ Active in the building. I'm Big Fred. We having a great time. Thank y'all for y'all that did it for the other ones. I appreciate that. We still rocking. We still having an amazing time. We still here. If you're just pulling up, welcome to the Tech Summit House here for CIAA. Shout out to all our sponsors, everyone that's helping make this event possible. I'm bringing up a man right now, a son of Baltimore, proud son of Baltimore. Actually, a fellow Mustang for all y'all to know about the schools here in the city. Yeah, shout out to Murrow. Ladies and gentlemen, show a lot of love. Clap it up right now. Give a huge, warm welcome for our mayor in the greatest city of America, Mayor Brandon Scott. Y'all clap it up, clap it up.
What's up? Peace, everybody. Peace. So, just so we get out the way, this is my Mervo Mustang brother right here.
Mervo.
Hey. Sit down, dump on the hump. We not
I
starting
seen him
today.
get up real quick. He got up
Sit
in
down.
the back.
So we're so happy to be here. We're so happy again to have the CIAA here in Baltimore. Black excellence on display in a black excellence city. We're so excited to be at the Tech House Summit. Want to thank Care First, BGE, Fearless, TechCo, our sponsors for today, as we put forth this energy about what tech and black tech and how black people are operating in the space, taking over the space, innovating the space, because that's what we do. There is nothing that has been created on this planet that has not been created and impacted by black people. And we also want to thank our title sponsor for the Tech House Summit, Verizon, for making this happen. I just want to say thank you to everyone who's here. Thank you for all our supporters. Thank you for being here for the CIAA. And let's keep it moving and let's keep it going.
Let's keep it rocking. Man, let me ask you a quick question.
Yes, sir.
Because you know we got a lot of tourists in the building. You've been everywhere. We got a lot of people here visiting for the first time.
Yeah.
What's one thing that you could tell these people, even some people from Baltimore, some Baltimoreans, a place to check out or something to do on their stay here this weekend?
So listen, if you're here right now, the most important thing I think for us as we in this moment is to support our black-owned businesses, right? So we know we have the board tour, all our black-owned restaurants that we have, the pop-up that I just came from, right on Pratt and Light Street, buying from Baltimore with Love Gear. I'm just a dope Baltimore boy hoodie. The food that we have there, support our folks who are doing it, because that's what truly makes Baltimore a charm city. It's the people and the people that operate in that space, especially our black people.
Great, well said, man. I need y'all to clap it up for Baltimore City. Clap it up for Mayor Brandon Scott, y'all. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. We moving around, y'all. We having a great time. Make some noise if you having a great time in Baltimore this weekend. Weekend hasn't even started on this Thursday. Some of y'all Wednesday felt like Friday. Y'all got here like, hold up, wait a minute. Huh? No, I said Wednesday. Some of y'all that got here Wednesday, it felt like Friday. Now it's really Friday. It felt like Friday, right? My God. All right, cool. All right, y'all, we're going to keep rocking. We're introducing our next act in a moment, but keep rocking with DJ Active. I'm Big Fred. One love, y'all. Keep having fun.